Can y'all see me? Hit me with a 100 if you can see me. We in here? I bet. Bet.
There we go.
My boy.
What's cracking, man? We in here.
Hey man, this how it go, man. You just be persistent, keep going and find it until it works, bro.
Man, we here, so
Yes,
that's
sir.
all that matters. We made it. People can
We
still
made it.
jump in from both sides. So
There it is.
how you feeling, man?
I'm well, man. I feel blessed to be here and grateful to share this opportunity with you guys, man.
That's what's up. Yo, check it. I can only see like your nose on down. So if you can
Okay.
turn the camera a little bit.
Yep.
There we go. There we go.
Is that good?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, let's do that.
You in there now. You in there.
All right.
All right, bro. How you feeling, man?
I'm well, man. I'm I rested pretty good and I'm still in the land of the living, man. How was your Saturday?
My Saturday was good, man. My Saturday. It's okay to ask me how was my fourth, man. My fourth was good, man.
Hey, you know what, man?
But look, I'm still celebrating the fourth, okay? Regardless, because we wouldn't have Juneteenth if it wasn't for 4th of July. If people don't want to acknowledge that, that's on them. But I can go on into it, and I can explain that. But I mean, that's the truth of the matter. So I'm a proud American. You know, if I wasn't, I would move. I'm pretty sure that we all, let me say this real quick, bro, since you asked about it. This ain't my interview, but this is yours.
Go right ahead, bro.
Look, check it out. One thing, if we could all get on one accord, you know what I'm saying? I understand we got people who say they black. We got people who say they Moors. We got some who say they Hebrew Israelites. We got some who say they Ethiopian or whatever the case may be. It may be all true. And I don't speak against any of it. But one thing that we all have to understand, and if we could all come to an agreement with, is we all born in this land. We're all Americans.
Okay.
Every last one of us is American.
Okay.
Now all of the subdivisions and everything like that, that's cool. Seek where how deep your roots go. You know what I'm saying? I'm all for it. But if we can all get on the same accord and say that we all Americans. We all want to be treated as American. We all want equality as an American. That's what we're fighting for, is that respect as an American. If we can all do that, we can make change. But the problem is we all can't agree on one thing. You know what I'm saying? And that's the one thing that we all have in common. Because even if we all did come from Africa or whatever the case may have been, if we all did, I'm just air quotes, because some people say they did, some people say they didn't. Whatever. If we all did, it's still not 100% fact that we all came from the same land over there. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You know, some of us could have came from Ethiopia. Some of us could have came from Nigeria. Some of us could have came from Ghana. You know what I'm saying? But one thing is, we all have to find something in common and something to build off of. Give him back his interview. Too long. I wanted to get that out. He brought it to me. You know, but I'm gonna do something else on that later.
No, man, throw that out there. I think that energy needs to be out there. You know, it's very rare though that men, especially of African ancestry, will sit down and have a one-on-one about something other than what's trending or what's popular.
Yeah.
Or what may immediately be like, make them a quick buck. So this is good. That energy needs to be felt, and your authentic point of view, even if it differs from mine. I'm not saying that it does,
right.
But that authentic point of view needs to be out there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. To be quite honest with you, I don't differ from you when it comes to saying we're all Americans and things of that nature. When it comes to the bigger issue, I would love to say that it's more so that we lack more of this.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
more open conversation, more trust with one another, in the sense of, you know, whatever I express or whatever it is I want to say, you'll accept that as me and where I stand and where I'm at, versus, in this day and age, it has to be judged by like or love or, a certain sentiment of a comment. But, what if you just accepted me for who I am, and, you just love me unconditionally, by just me expressing what I think with where I am in my life. Everybody has different experiences. Like you said, we come from different places, be it geographically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically. You know what I'm saying? So even just those there, we come from different places emotionally, physically, mentally, and spiritually. So just that in and of itself should give us some growing room, or a little bit of leeway, to be able to hear each other out.
Oh yeah.
So to better understand, because really what's happening is a lot of us, we just have a lack of understanding for ourselves. So we're projecting that energy upon, some of the other people that we come across. And so I don't want to hear you out because somebody else didn't hear me out, but we don't want to go back to when somebody didn't hear me out and I was hurt by that. I'm just going to project that on you and make you feel like what you got to say ain't really what's popping, and then we don't have a conversation. So then you got generations and generations and generations that don't have a conversation, and it's hurt built on hurt, and it's, fuel put on fire,
Yep.
So I connect. I'm with you.
Definitely. And that creates that further separation, that we need to break, like you say. And the only way to break it is with the communication, man. That's true, because you got a lot of people that's afraid that they're going to find out something that they didn't come up with. You know what I'm saying? And not only that, but also that they agree with it, but they can't agree with it because they didn't come up with it. So you have a lot of people that's just stuck on, this is what I'm going to give you, and it's not going to be anything else because I don't want to be wrong. What is that going to say if all these years I was wrong? What is that going to say about me? So we got that fear factor as well that's in there. But again, we can't break none of that down without communication.
Well, I'd say that's an excuse.
I mean, very, very much so. Yeah.
I mean, it's true. It's true. It's true. But most of us have walked into classrooms for at least 8 to 12 years of our lives with that same fear factor of not knowing what we were about to learn, or sitting down, taking a test, and not being 100% sure if we were going to get 100%.
So what would you say to your people that have that mentality right now?
To apply courage to your everyday life. Courage is deeper than confidence. It comes before love. It comes before truth. It comes before justice, freedom, and peace. You have to dig within and do what you know. And sometimes doing what you know pisses some people off. Sometimes doing what you know goes against what you were taught. Sometimes doing what you know on the inside is what will push things forward or help you get over humps or overcome who you were yesterday. Sometimes it takes you looking past your skin, looking within. And like I said, for many of us, that means going against what we were taught or what we thought we knew. It takes humility, but even to get to a place of acting out of humility or being humble enough to set aside our pride and our ego to hear one another out, that takes courage, because you have to say, screw what I knew, right? And the reason why that's deeper than confidence, because confidence is still dependent. Like, you know, I could be confident in what I know, but that's dependent on what I was told. That's depending on what I thought I thought I knew in the past. That was depending on how my lifestyle was or what was going for me up until this point. But courage is, it don't matter what I was taught.
Mm-hmm.
It don't matter how it makes me feel. It don't matter that it hurts me to have to go a little deeper and see, you know, what it was I know I knew to do, but I did something different because it was comfortable and it kept me in the bag, and my family was still on board with me, or my friends stayed cool with me. But sometimes when you do what you know, that means isolation.
Mm-hmm.
That means you know, a whole different kind of a lifestyle than what you may be used to, you know. And so I just think, you know, what I would say is just to continue courageously. And that's more than just words. It means to keep moving forward, but it's more than just a Nike, like a just do it. They tell you to keep moving forward. They tell you to keep going ahead. They tell you to, you know, maintain. But what we miss is how. How do I keep going when I'm hurting?
Mm-hmm.
How do I push forward when, you know, my family has some mental disorders and nobody's talking about it?
Yeah.
How do I, you know, follow my dreams with lack of support? How do I, you know, change my diet when who I'm living with is cooking everything that I don't eat, but I still got to survive?
Right.
It's courage. You have to find it within yourself. You can't get it from nobody else.
Mm-hmm.
You have to find it within yourself as to what is priority to you. And so in this day and age, we're talking about different cultures and, you know, separation and things. We know what to do.
Yeah.
we know, you know how we know what to do, how I know that, Art, is because everybody's looking for the same thing. We want to be happy.
Yeah, definitely.
So I know how to treat you no matter what you look like on the outside, bro. No matter what you eat, no matter what your religion is, no matter where you come from, what your address, zip code, whatever you call yourself, everything that you said, bro, in the beginning, no matter what that is, courage says, I know how I want to be loved. Let me just show that.
Yeah.
The issue is many of us not loving on ourselves because many of us ain't really felt what you know, the love that we know we deserve. We never really felt it, so it's hard for many of us to give it. So that's why we need that humility piece and that courageous piece, because we got to forget that somebody got to treat me a certain way for me to love on them how I know to love on them. We got to forget some of that.
Yeah, you hit it right on the head, man. A lot of us ain't even felt it. You know what I'm saying? Ain't even felt it to know how to give it. You know, and then some people afraid to give it because they give it, they like, am I gonna get it in return? You know what I'm saying? You know, P, you make a good taking your whole belief system and being willing to question it. You know, that's one thing. That's all a part of growing. You know, if you're not questioning things, you know, to me there's a problem. If you're not questioning things about life, there's a problem. You know, at some point you have to come and even if that's the way you grew up throughout life, you got to at one point sit back and say, okay, why do I really believe this way? You know, what is it about this way that I need to believe this? You know, don't let people make choices for you. You know,
Right.
Where does Omega find his courage, man?
In myself and my higher power, bro.
Okay.
You know, just, you know, understanding that, you know, we've been given certain things like intuition for a reason. You know, we've been given, you know, some may call it, you know, the Holy Spirit, some may call it your conscience, you know, and even in that facet, whatever you want to call it, it's there, right? It's there, right? We know it's there. So to be quite honest with you, man, moving forward means following what you know. And when you follow what you know, many times that means forgetting what you were told or what you were taught in order to find the direction of your own destiny, you know, because we're the captains of our own ship, you know, we're the masters of our own destiny. So, and that just means that if no one else was around, it goes into integrity. If no one else is around, who are you?
Yeah.
What kind of person, you know, are you going to be within that 24-hour span? What are you going to do for you? That's the type of person we have to be every single day.
I agree.
Instead of having to see, many of us are acting out of a codependency factor that we don't even see. Like, meaning we wake up, some of us wake up and our day is dependent upon what's going on IG and on Facebook.
Speak on it.
Some of our days is dependent upon whatever our mama might say through text, or whatever our boyfriend or girlfriend didn't say, and that's something we were taught.
Yeah.
We were shown these habits and these things that our parents may and may not have known, but that's not an excuse. You know, it's like, once we do come into a sense of the person that we want to be and the life we do want to have, that's where the courage kicks in, because then you can love the way that you know to love. You can trust the way that you know to trust. You can fight for peace the way that you know. You can speak on justice the way that you can speak, that you know to speak on justice. Even you know, whatever the factor is, whatever it is that you may feel like you may have some barriers or things of that. And then when the courage kicks in and you looking within yourself and you're saying, man, this is who I want to be. This is the life I want to live. This is the kind of person that I want to love on. And this is the kind of love I deserve. All of that comes from within. Can't nobody tell you those things. Then you act out of that. And then you can measure where you were yesterday to where you are today and where you will be tomorrow. And that's not dependent. That's not codependent. That is independent. That's an independent thinker, and many of us are not thinking today.
Man, I think that's an understatement, man. Many of us are not thinking today. You know, you can manifest anything, man. You're right, Prime. Anything you can manifest anything, man. And I think that's one thing we're cutting ourselves short on is not thinking that we're capable.
Yeah, man.
You know, a lot of us feel like we're not capable. And it all goes back to examining itself, like you guys are saying. You know, because what you say, our culture doesn't like the truth. You're right. A lot of people are scared of the truth. Definitely right. I wish we could bring all of y'all in on this. It's like we need to move this to a Zoom.
Yeah, I know, right? But you know, the interesting part, man, and I want you to finish where you're at, but the interesting part I want to say about that is that it's okay to say that people are scared of the truth. What's attached to that is when people are scared of the truth, we don't tell the truth. And so then who do we blame? That's why, if you notice in my conversation, it's about us, we, our, because this is on us. This is, you know, this is us. Much of this today in 2020. So for instance, I'll give you an example. In one-on-one conversations with intellectuals, many will agree that we have a lot more responsibility to do with where our community as a whole generally is right now today.
Right.
But in a public forum, let's say in the general consensus on a Facebook or what's trending on Twitter or what may be being posted via meme or you know, in a link in somebody's bio, everyone wants to blame and point a finger.
Yeah.
So that's a prime example of we're scared to tell the truth or to say that truth about us having more responsibility. So if that truth doesn't come out, then we won't talk about the truth. So if we're scared of the truth, we won't talk about the truth. So we don't deal with the truth. There's the cycle.
And we're scared of responsibility.
100%.
We're totally scared of responsibility, you know, because we don't want anybody to say it's our fault.
Yeah.
You know.
But see, here's the thing though, bro. You know, but okay. Well, let's particularly go with what you said. Let's say we go deeper and we understand why people, like, we have a sense of understanding. Well, because see, many of us act out of ignorance, not understanding.
Yeah.
So let's act out of understanding for a second.
Okay.
Understanding says, all right, bet. We know a lot of people don't want to hear that it's our fault. Where we are right now today, 2020. Cool. So let's shift the paradigm a little bit. It's not our fault. Okay? Much of our current situation as to the origin of how we got here ain't our fault. Okay? But it's our responsibility to fix our current situation, bro.
Indeed.
That's the difference. So we can let go of the fault and the blame and agree that the majority, hell, all of it, we can shift the blame and fault and all of that on whoever that's supposed to go on. Cool, let's agree, common ground. What we gonna do? What we gonna do about it? Because see, the fixing, even if you take it from a collective sense to an individual sense, wherever my trauma came from, Art, it may be somebody else's fault, but it's my responsibility to fix it. And majority of us, especially within our community, bro, we have been taught to continue to think that that fault is connected to the responsibility to fix, and that's false. That fault is to be acknowledged. We can call out that behavior. We can even address that person if we like, or those people who may be responsible for where we are mentally, emotionally, financially, wherever we want to say they are attached to that blame and that fault. Cool, they at fault for that. But this our life.
Yeah.
What our generation gonna do?
And then
that's where you got your RedL TVs and your red line access. You understand what I'm saying?
And I was just going to say, we know it's possible because we see it. We
100%.
see it. So we can't sit there and say that, oh, I can't do nothing because I'm in the hood. Or I can't do nothing because they not giving us any jobs in the neighborhood, and they not doing this and they not doing that. We know it's possible because we're seeing people from the hood build platforms to where they can do. And we can't just sit there and depend on just them doing their thing.
Yeah, Tupac said it best, man. He said, you know, we were placed where we were because we have what it takes to work harder to get up out of here. And I may be paraphrasing that, but it's for a reason. If everything happened for a reason, you can't discount where you from and the dirt or mud you may have had to climb up out of. That's all a part of it. You know, even, you know, I'm not a super duper religious dude, but even those who believe in the Savior Jesus Christ, Galilee was like the ghetto. If they know the good book, or if you just know the story in and of itself, even if you call it a fairy tale, you know, the story will still be the same. Galilee was like the ghetto. You know, Bethlehem was like, you know, the West Side. You hear them sirens. You know what I'm saying? You know, the West Side of Inglewood, or you know, the worst parts of Chicago. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, moving to Nazareth, you know, he was amongst people that weren't the best of them. Yeah. And so, if that story, again, regardless of what your belief is or where you are in your journey, If that story is any testament to still be being told some 2,000 years later, then man, we really have everything that we really need to build on in order to make something out of nothing.
Yeah, yeah. All this wisdom, man. What Omega McBride?
Yep.
Who is that? Where did that come from?
I'm a beautiful soul, man. You asked me about the actual name itself, or
The name itself, the artist behind the name.
Well, Omega stands for Opening Minds, Elevating Great Artistry.
Okay.
And McBride is my middle name. McBride is connected to the Honduran side of my family. I'm also a Sanchez as well. So McBride is a very strong part of the Central American side that I carry along with my ancestors into today. You know, Megan McBride is an artist, recording artist, visual artist, songwriter, writer, period, and just, you know, a creative mind who has ideas that, you know, will continue to help shift things in the right direction for the world.
At what point? Because I've known you for a while, so I've seen many faces of Omega.
Right.
And
Yeah.
Where at what point did you find that this was the route that you wanted to go? Artistry.
I was, you know, it's crazy, man. It's almost like love. It's like, it's almost like me asking you, man, what point did you, at what day and what time did you fall in love with your wife? You understand what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
It's a little bit, I mean, it's a good question, right? It's a good question because it pegs the mind, to really say, did you just go with it, or was there a particular moment that really you could point at and say, this is when I knew?
Mm-hmm.
But it's a little difficult, especially when you're just on the side of having continued courageously.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's where that mantra for me came in. Just realizing over time that that's a missing link within many of our entities, our entrepreneurial efforts, our individual dreams, our collective initiatives. A missing link is actually developing, sticking with it, being persistent, and not worrying about what's going to happen tomorrow, but understanding how much you have control of today, and that we're also co-creating this thing, man. We have as much responsibility to do with what we have in our brains to accomplish as we put on God to give us the opportunities or the blessings or whatever. Like, we have as much responsibility to do all that we can. So for anyone who's watching or listening, I would just say, just over time, just realize, hey, I want to be able to exhaust, everything that was put inside of me or placed inside of me, to give. And so I think it was, if I could pinpoint anything or say anything to answer that particular question, it would just be me deciding, just one day I decided that I want to, I want to give everything that I've been given. And so when I got honest about what I have, I'm like, hey, I had to have been given it for a reason. So let's just do that. Let's see what that do.
Yeah. And Pac would be one of your inspirations?
100%.
One of them?
100%. I would say, I mean, probably my biggest inspiration, man.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, outside of outside of my pops, you know, my pops is also a writer.
Okay.
My pops is a writer, and although I didn't grow up with him and didn't grow up with him in the best light or having the relationship that I would have, you know, that I would have wanted. You know, there were moments that, you know, my dad would ride with me in the car and he would be playing jazz. And at that time, I didn't know that, you know, his love for jazz would mean my appreciation for music, period.
So would you say that development for love of music on your part was more so of a connection seek with him?
You know, maybe not intentionally, but you know, as you would ask me that, you know, with my dad being a writer, he also, you know, sang songs that he would teach me as well, you know. So when it comes to harmonies or vocal delivery and things of that nature, at that time in my adolescence, I didn't see it as such, but perhaps on his end, it may have been an intentional effort to have me to see that there was more inside of me. And, you know, in regards of what he may have thought it would, you know, it would evolve into, he may have just known with himself, you know, he gave me, you know, a gift of his, or, you know, he helped me to refine, or just to know for sure that I could do this, if anything. You know what I'm saying?
So how important do you think a father's relationship is to his son?
In what facet?
In the facet of a young man understanding his abilities, understanding his position, understanding his abilities of decision making and proper decision making.
If his father has control of his emotions, and maybe a couple of other things that I could, you know, pinpoint as far as, okay, let me just say this. A father is huge no matter what, because that is an immediate model for who we know we can be, period. Right? So whether that father in our eyes is a failure or a success, their presence alone means something. Even if we're just looking at, if there's, let's say they're still living, man, they made it till such and such, you know, point in life. Even if I want to be doing better than them, they made it. You know, I got it. I know through them, I got it within me to at least make it to that point. Yeah. If I don't, you know, that's on me. You know, it depends on your perspective, but that's a positive way to look at whether or not your dad is in your life or not. If they're there, or they're alive, or they're in the land of the living, they are also modeling to us that we can at least, they're modeling to us longevity. Okay. And that to them, longevity is of significance. Whatever that looks like to them is them, even if it don't look like to us what we want it to look, whatever that is, you know. So even if, let's say, so just as a whole, the figure, if they can be there, if we can know them, it's important. Because the more that we do take opportunities to know our fathers, if we have those opportunities, the better we know ourselves.
Yeah.
For those who may not have had a father, you know, be it their father is deceased, or they just never knew them due to, location and presence, and, they were just never there. I mean, that's a different kind of answer, when it comes to how important that person, may feel that their father is in their would be in their life, especially if they see themselves as successful, no matter what, or had a strong mother.
Right.
For me, I've had both, in the sense of not knowing my dad the way that I felt like I deserved to know him, and also never having my dad in my home, but yet knowing who my dad was, and also being made privy to many of my father's gifts early on, that, when I did spend time with him, would come to get us, so we go and visit. In my brain, I at least had this is why it's important that whether your dad is immediately or not, to still to do what we can do to fix our hearts and work on the hurt that we may feel, because the more that we can be proactive in salvaging whatever we can with that relationship, the better we see possibilities for ourselves. So that's like, even if I see more, even if me spending more time with my dad, or giving more attention to that relationship, although he wasn't there early in my life, even if me giving that attention means I see more of what characteristics I don't want, or more of a lifestyle that I want, I deserve better than whatever I see, or at least I know that, and I can get more clear on that, because for sons, your father is you. I don't care how you can't escape it.
Yeah.
You, your father.
Yeah.
And however, you are an individual soul, and you get to decide how beautiful you become, no matter what your past.
So how did you allow those gems through the music, through the him, your father writing and everything? How did you allow that to or incorporate that into your creation, your creative side?
Well, my dad's a singer, and so, as I began to work on an individual sound, and just dig within myself, cutting off the radio, or modeling, or any kind of intention to model anything by anyone, just beginning to realize that there's more inside of myself, and that vocal ability that my dad has. I began to see myself use that, or try different things with my voice, as I began to create, my own sound and catalog. And that was, I'd say that was a direct effect of having worked with my dad, early on, and watching him sing in the car, or, he was also with a group as well. I ended up in a couple of groups, before I was a solo artist. I was also in a duo. And, it just allowed me an opportunity to see myself, try and put my best foot forward with my gift in different ways. And so I developed, my own way to express myself vocally, over time.
Okay. Have you seen your performance yet on
I haven't watched it, man. I can't wait to do it, though. I'm gonna pop some popcorn. Last night, bro, I fired up the grill, bro, on the fire escape, man. So I'm gonna probably do that again tonight, man, and make an event of it.
Okay, definitely. Tell us, what was your experience like with shooting the show?
First of all, man, very, very proud of you guys, man. I've also seen you as an individual grow as a man, as an artist, as someone who has grown the trust of the people. and has a good heart. And I believe I told you this, man. You're the right person to be doing something like this. You know, you have the intellect, you have you have the history of execution and assertiveness and being yourself. And we're living in an age where authenticity is it's rare, yet it's, if tapped into, it's royalty. And so, bro, you're royalty. And, you know, you walk in that, man. And I encourage you guys to do that. And I felt that, if I could, you know, give any word to describe the experience, man, it felt like royalty. We were just looking around the room, was, you know, we were amongst greatness, you know, and even artists whom may not even known, you know, particularly how dope, you know, they were, but you know, it was amazing. And I could see, you know, you said when you were talking to P, I saw you said something about, you know, stay tuned for episode 2. You put the, you know, I saw Jordan doing like this, you know, for episode 5, episode 6, 7. So, you know, so salute to y'all, man. Keep that in mind, bro.
Man, definitely. You know, this is definitely a platform we would love to see grow, and just grow and grow. You know, episode 2 in its full entirety is going to air on Wednesday, and we just want to be able to create a platform that's going to expose true talent, you know, and great talent. You know, we're not looking for just average people to be on here, but we look for exceptional people who talent matches their wisdom, matches their deliverance, matches what comes out of their mouth. You know, I can honestly say from experience with you over the years that your character shows in your music and in your lifestyle. You know, to invite you to be a part of the event. And my man traveled across town at one point on public transportation. You know, that speaks volumes of just your character and everything. I mean, that one year, dude, when you walked from the bus stop all the way to the gym, like my man's phone died. Looking for him, can't find him anywhere. And he shows up like, man, I just walked almost an hour.
Yeah,
like,
we here.
Do that, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
We here.
Your integrity, everything, man. Is that's why when you speak, bro, when you speak, I listen. You know, I think a lot of people listen. You also within in the school systems and everything, and I see the stuff that you post, and they listen because you are a true person of what you speak. You know, you get a lot of people who will speak something, and then you look at them, and you just fall back and watch them, and they're nothing about what they speak about. You know what I'm saying? And that's one thing that I can say that you are, dude. Definitely a person of what you speak. Definitely, man. And appreciate that. He's a real, he definitely.
Man, I appreciate those words of encouragement, man. Those are some kind words. I don't take them lightly, man. You know, in my times of solitude, you know, that's what keeps a brother going. As you know, we try and do our best to not even try, but you know, more so do our best. You know, to continue to innovate and give as much as we can. Because as every seed is planted, man, there's more opportunities for us to grow, more opportunities for those people that are reached to grow. And, you know, just to bring this full circle, you know, in the beginning, you're talking about growth, man. And the truth, you know, about that is, you know, we have to be honest about not everybody wants to grow. So this isn't for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and even you just as a creator, bro, you know, understanding that this is going to be for particular people. And the harder you go in the direction that you feel is your destiny on the inside, the more that you're going to pretty much more or less attract the people that are supposed to, be viewing, your content, man. So, don't even worry about, whatever the speed or, the time frame of it growing, you growing. You know what I'm saying? The people that are inspired by you, that you're working with, whom are inspiring you, you all are growing together. That's what's most important. Wherever it goes, that's going to be basically a part of the legacy. But for the most part, it is about the journey.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, we're doing our best to use what we have, at this point in the journey to make something else. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, just continue courageous, bro.
Man, we've had appreciate that. We've had a crazy weekend these past couple weekends, from Father's Day up until now. Father's Day, we had over 100 and some people shot. I think I just seen earlier today, this weekend, of 60-some people shot, 13 killed. I know that you in the system, man, in the school systems. How do you prepare the youth that you are in touch with for a summer in Chicago?
I'll tell them the truth. Can you give me 10 seconds? Give me 10 seconds, bro.
All right. Yo, I know we on our platform. Shout out to everybody that came in. Stay, hang. We got some good meat in this interview. Some good substance going on in this interview. But right now we've been talking about Eyes Wide, Ears Wider, Poetry Cafe. Very little about that, actually, because the show is just a platform to feed you guys. It's entertainment and education. That's what we seek to do. So this interview right here really fits into that notch. Entertainment, education. We feeding you guys and giving everything to you. Make sure you following RedL TV, RedL_TV. Check out all of the poets and artists that touch it. Eyes Wide, Ears Wide, Poetry Cafe. You back, B. The question on the table is, with everything that go on in Chicago, how do you prepare those shorties for the summer in Chicago?
I'll tell them the truth, bro. Tell them the truth. There's a battle, so in the same breath that we, speak about the killings or the shootings, which is basically what they tell you on the news, we can talk about racism, right? We can talk about COVID and all that, right? So the truth is that there's a battle between good and evil going on.
Mm-hmm.
We know that it's not the Chinese with COVID. We know that it's not the European racism. We know that it's not Americans of African ancestry whom are ignorant or frustrated and want to kill each other. Because even with that, many of those who are carrying firearms really just they don't want to get hit first. So so the truth is that all of those are masks for what's really going on. I mean, I can't hold someone else who doesn't look like me as the enemy because they don't look like me, when someone who looks like me is also treating me like I ain't nothing either. Like they both go in the same pot. You know what I'm saying? Seriously, if you're not giving me the love I deserve, you go in the same pot as the racist. You go in the same pot as the gangbanger who killed my neighbor shorty. You go that evil.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Evil.
Mm-hmm.
You over there. You know what I'm saying? So what the news wants to do is paint the picture for us, and it's used to control what we choose to see. But many of us forget the front end of that. We can choose.
Mm.
We can choose what we see. We can choose what we look at. We can choose what we perceive. We can choose what we believe. We can choose how we proceed.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if we're not thinking, then we're going to say that the problem is that we're shooting each other and a certain amount died last year, and this time 2 years ago a certain amount died, 2 years ago this time of the year, and we're going to start estimating what it might be in 6 months. That's not the problem.
Mm-hmm.
That is the result of missed conversations. That's the result of us not telling our youth and our young adults that not everybody wants to grow, and the racist supervisor that treats you, you know, or talks to you like you're nothing can go in the same bowl as your mother who treats and talks to you like you're nothing. We need to tell our youth and young adults that, because we all deserve the love that we know we deserve. And so if I'm allowing if I'm allowing myself to be treated a certain way, or I'm allowing certain things to go on in my community, I have a responsibility for the way that I feel, because I'm also choosing either not to speak up about how I believe I deserve to feel, or the love that I deserve, or how you should be talking to me, or how I would like to be treated in order for me to keep my peace. But if we're not teaching, so I say that to say that's my piece in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
That we get to decide how we want to feel.
Mm-hmm.
So even at the point of doing work, if the teacher says something to you that blow you for whatever reason, and you decide not to get your work done, you gonna get the F.
Yeah.
You can apply courage and pull that teacher to the side and say, hey, I didn't appreciate how you said that to me, especially because it was in the class. I will more so better respond to, you may be pulling me outside the class, or maybe slide me a note. But see, here's the thing. If we're not teaching courage, then our students don't even know they can do that. But that comes from adults who were not taught that we can also choose how we treated by our supervisors who don't like us by what we look like. We think we got to stay there and be treated because of what we look like, and because we got to pay them. No, we get an opportunity. When we speak about us being kings and royalty, and those things are the facts, but many of us won't read. Right?
Mm-hmm.
When February comes around and Black History Month comes up, we never hear about who we were prior to slavery, and that's for a reason. We have an entire history prior to slavery. What are youth and young adults learning when they're with me? We taught Europeans everything they needed to know in order to build America. That's why they weren't here until they met us. But that's not in our history books for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So when it comes to shooting, killing each other, and things of that nature, all of those are symptoms of a bigger problem, and that is us not knowing ourselves. If I don't know myself, Art, then I'm not going to look at you, bro, and see myself. If I know myself, and I know that I'm a beautiful soul full of gifts, talents, greatness, good things, vision, integrity, personality, movies, books, buildings, ideas, shoes, fashion, TV shows. If I know that I'm full of all of that, you gotta have that then. But I gotta first see it in myself. I gotta first be even told that I can love myself in such a way that I can look at others with that same sense of love and appreciation and things. So the shootings are a symptom of I don't love or even know myself. All I know of is what they done told me in these books that are half written, like the Bible was that they gave to the slaves. This is a history of the same thing. And it isn't until we apply the attribute of courage that we'll look and see, okay, well, what are we not seeing? What we're not seeing, what we're not looking at.
Right.
You know, nothing changes, man.
What is it that you would like to see with what you doing change in the future?
Say the question again.
What would you like to see with your creative change in the future, as far as growth, as far as expansion, as far as assistance, or as far as platforms? You know, what is your vision for Omega?
Well,
Omega McBride for president.
funny. Much love right back at you, straight up. Well, you know, man, you know, the sky's the limit. You know, if there is, if I can even put the word limit in my vocabulary, you know, the intention is to touch people who know that they can be more, who understand that passion is real, and those who are looking at how to do it. Would love to reach people on a national syndicated scale. Whereas, you know, they get bits of inspiration and techniques on how to dig a little deeper in practical ways. You know, these are things that I've learned along my journey that have enabled me to build a brand that is sustainable, and its pillars are truth, love, peace, justice. You know, we have everything.
You know, I got a poem. I'm sorry, I got a poem in my book with that title.
Straight up.
Yeah.
I got it over there, man. I'm gonna check you out, bro. Put that in my stories, man. but yeah, man, it's who we are, and so, you know, in a nutshell, just want to be more myself and encourage other people to do that, and help them to understand that doing so is also what will help us to heighten the vibration on this earth. You know, those positive, when we talk about vibes, you know, we say vibes more cliches than we realize that is vibration, and that's real. Mm-hmm. Just like we know when we're around somebody, or when someone's around and when they leave us, we feel drained. Mm-hmm. You ever feel like that, man? You feel drained. Just, you know, whether it's a teacher, a family member, a friend, a foe, man. And you also know the opposite. When someone leaves, you feel energized and inspired. You just like, wait a minute, let's go, let's get it, right? Like you know the difference. So we get a little bit more honest about who we want to be, how we want to feel. Then we could begin to start connecting the dots on how to get there. Many people ask, "Oh man, how can I get clear? I don't know." Like, I sit a student down and I get them to start writing their vision. You know, in the next 10 years, you know, use your imagination. Where you see yourself, the city you see yourself living in, what time you waking up, what clothes are you wearing, You know, how long will you be where you're going to be when you leave the crib? Will you be leaving the crib? Who's going to be there when you